The future's always come down to interpretation, much like the science fiction genre. We could be living in a dystopian hellhole, or maybe something a little more positive. Sound familiar? Well, today we're going to be looking at Bright Memory Infinite, the follow-up game to the 2020 release Bright Memory. Set in the year 2036, the game puts you in the role of SRO, short for Supernatural Science Research Organisation, operative Shelia Tan. A strange phenomenon has been happening all over the world, with a black hole opening over China, and Shelia is dispatched to investigate it. It turns out that the SRO aren't the only organisation interested in the black hole, and Shelia must fight her way through various enemies to uncover another mystery. The game, much like the original, is a first-person shooter with hack-and-slash elements, and assuming that you've come here from watching the Bright Memory review, is this game any good? Find out in The Good. If you thought Bright Memory looked good, then Bright Memory Infinite takes it up a notch higher. The visuals of the game looks great, especially with ray tracing and RTX features, though in saying that, it's still impressive without them, though the differences I've found are much more noticeable. The lighting and effects are a big improvement over its predecessor, and even the visual presentation, like the heads-up display, is a lot cleaner looking as well. The locations in the game are based off and inspired by China's, and I once again apologise in advance for pronunciation, Guizhou and Guangxi provinces, and I do like the visuals for the setting and can't help but take some time to take it all in. The character models do look especially detailed, and again I'm impressed at how quickly the developer FYQD-Studio has gotten better in their craft, given that it's pretty much a one-man team, though in saying that, music was handled by other people. It's an incredibly pretty looking game, and I can see why it was nominated for Outstanding Visual Style in the recent Steam Awards at the end of 2021. The gameplay I've found has been updated and for the better. While I did like the fast-paced action of Bright Memory Infinite is significantly better. Gone is the Devil May Cry inspired style ranking, but as well as shooting your enemies, Shelia also has access to her light blade, which can now be used to counter enemy attacks by deflecting projectiles back to them or breaking their defense, allowing to slash and shoot away. There is a bar that depletes as the sword is used, but thankfully it recharges pretty quickly. Each weapon Shelia gets also has secondary fire and can be upgraded by collecting relics and reliquaries. She can also learn new moves through her light blade and EMP pulse this way too. The EMP pulse can push or pull enemies, and I do like the increased gore with the array of abilities you have at your disposal. Shelia can also wall run, and her grapple also makes a reappearance. The gameplay also appears to be a mix of different things to keep things fresh, as you have a stealth section as well as a driving section. Boss fights return, and the fights are on a much grander scale than the first game, which is great to see. However, as impressive as the game is, it still has its faults, so let's explore those in The Bad. Much like Bright Memory, the biggest drawback to Bright Memory Infinite is its length. While this game is significantly longer than Bright Memory, with me clocking in between 1.5 to 2 hours, that's still pretty short. It does not appear to be episodic like Bright Memory was, with this game having a somewhat more definitive conclusion, but that's still pretty impressive given the time between releases, and admittedly the game is ideal for short bursts or speedruns if that's your thing. Much like its predecessor, Bright Memory's story also makes just as much sense. The only difference here is it's not on the Steam page for me to figure out. I do appreciate the game at least telling me in dialogue that Shelia is up against the SAI forces again, except this time their leader is General Lin as opposed to Carter from the previous game. While we're on the topic of the story, what's up with those ancient soldiers anyway? They do talk about different worlds, so are they people from that world, or are they undead, or people from the past? I might assume the former, as Shelia also has to deal with other creatures as well. How is it that Shelia seems to be the only one that has to deal with them, and who exactly is the Tianyu Emperor? The game still presents a lot of questions I don't really get answers to, hoping that the fast-paced action would serve as a big enough distraction for me not to worry about. But if you've come here from the Bright Memory review, you'll know that I do enjoy story, and at the very least this game does make the effort to provide more context on it, so it does get some redeeming points, but not quite enough for me to fully grasp what happens over the course of the game. Bad aside, there isn't much else for me to cover here, so let's wrap things up with the opinion. Bright Memory Infinite is a definite improvement over Bright Memory, and this is a testament of how far FYQD-Studio has gotten. The visuals look much nicer, and the gameplay feels much more natural and sharper, but the game also shares its faults with the original, and that being its length and lack of context throughout the story, though there were noticeable attempts to remedy those. With the variety in the game as well as the showcase of visuals, I wouldn't blame you if you think that the game looked like a tech demo for something more ambitious, because I can certainly see why. If you do want a good-looking, fast-paced, action-packed game to play in short bursts, or just to pass the time, then yeah, give this game some consideration. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Bright Memory Infinite The Black Hole out of 10. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.